Okay, here's a quick video for Ulrich, and we're dissecting this lick. And yeah, the lick is 5th fret bar, 1st fret bar, or 3rd fret bar, and then hammering onto the 4th fret. So you're hammering this B flat into the B. So as soon as you get that, you're in two different keys, kind of. You know, you got and anyway, so some stuff you can do with this. Like if you got this look, the first thing I would suggest is adding that note on it. And that really, if you look at it, that breaks it down into just this. So from there, you know, the lick might be this, but you can, or anything you play, you can kind of explode it into a million variations. And so let's just start with, instead of playing these as a double, you could play them single. And then you could add on an F here with your 4th finger. And you're getting into Chuck Berry land. And then from there, let's add the high G. Just pause the video after each one of these, and so this all works over G. And I should note, actually, you know, like if you're playing in G, you know, you can move that up to C and D as well, and get a 1-4-5 type of thing with. Anyway, back to this idea. You can also add in this note, the 9th. So that, if you're noticing, it's basically you can add all of these tones into the mix. You know? So I always think of these as safety nets. You know, when that all lines up. If you know all of these things in this line are gonna, basically your landing, if you have the landing or resolve of, then you can just mix any one of those notes in there. You know, there from that string or this string, or this string, and you could even expand down. There I played. And that brings out an interesting technique I was talking about during the lesson, the hinge. So a hinge bar is when you're playing a note, like if say you play this, and then you flap it, you bend it flat, and you get that note. So just take a minute to and now you can hinge. You don't got to just hinge up to the next string. You can hinge up to it, and that hinge is always, if you're playing and things are seeming too cliche or too predictable, the hinge, if you hinge to some weird note, it'll always sound. It's like you can just just juggle as many tones as you want with that. So that gives you a total. There I played all the notes from there. And I mean, yeah, you could even start to add a B flat in up here. But the thing is, now we're getting into a different box where you've got B flat and B up here. You know, that's the same as, that's an octave above that. So maybe we won't include too much of that, but have a peek at that. Yeah, well, let's include it. So there's another octave B flat to B. So you could mix that in there because it's still within that position. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to talk about was adding in the chromatics. So here you got, you know, if all these notes are fair game, then you can connect them in with a all the way down. Though on this one, if you notice, you might want to resolve that there. So that could give you an overall chromatic passing pattern of those notes. And now obviously you don't want to use them all at once. You kind of, yeah, just do. You know, just toss them in whenever you want an extra note in there, and it can get you out of trouble. Like, say you end up here and you want to... It's like, they're really... That's the real... Those are really fun. You can get into and out of all kinds of trouble with those passing tones. So just shuffle them around and then throw in some hinges. So, you know, a lick that starts like that, you can explode it. You know, another thing is from here, instead of going to this string, you can reach down to this guy and you get that. That's a sixth. And here I like this 4 in a row chromatic thing, because that's in a G chord. If you're looking at a G chord like that, this is all G, I guess. If you look at that tone, you know, then it goes to C, you know. So that's a nice lick to reach down a string from wherever you are. And you can even put a chromatic on that. So there I just led into it with a chromatic. That might be too much. I don't know. And you can do some juggles like that. That's kind of like the old rock around the clock. How's it go? Whatever. Yeah, a lot of it too is like juggling. Yeah, and when you're getting here, you can bend to that. So you can play the whole 6 strings. So you notice, say I got into trouble up here, the chromatics will just give you an extra note to massage your way out of any and then you can get into some weird shit, like say you jump from this string to that one. But it starts to become like a weird chromatic situation where you do, you know, like all chromatic notes. Because in the right situation, all the chromatic notes you can play are gonna work really good. Yeah, it's starting to get a little jazzy maybe. Yeah, so, you know, just that is, there's so much you can build around that, because you got a landing. And I mean, some people would maybe ask the question, like, well, what about getting that note in there? You know, and that's another. If you notice, you don't even need your fourth finger for this stuff. You can just kind of roll it around. And your ear will hear the G. Now this guy up here, that's the same as that. So maybe we'll look at that a little more next week, because whatever you play here could be played an octave higher. You know, like... and if you play down, you notice, oh, I'm getting right into this box. So it gives you like this expanded thing where you end up with like the high. Then you can just try moving it up to C, you know? Think about how to do. So yeah, just start with, then throw some hinges, throw chromatic in there. You know, you can really get away with a lot of chromatic in, like a lot of them just make it sound a little more old-fashioned. Like as soon as I hear, so you may not want to do too much of it, but I always say there's no rules. Like it's better if you don't, just trust your ear and what your taste is, because I don't know, it's fun to just play all kinds of crazy notes. I like that one too a lot. Like that one's like no joke.